heart of the Father, and I just have a little word of encouragement that I thought I'd share with you today. I heard a teaching about 2 weeks ago on the miracles of Jesus from the book of John, and there's one that's really jumped out at me and reminded me of Unbound, and so I thought I'd share that with you today. It comes from the book of John in chapter 6, and this is when Jesus walks on water. When evening came, his disciples went down to the lake, where they got into a boat and set off across the lake for Capernaum. By now it was dark, and Jesus had not yet joined them. A strong wind was blowing, and the waters grew rough. When they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus approaching the boat, walking on the water, and they were frightened. But he said to them, "It is I, don't be afraid." Then they were willing to take him into the boat, and immediately the boat reached the shore where they were heading. A few things jumped out at me that reminded me of Unbound in this passage. First, they got into the boat and they struggled against the wind and the water, and it says that they had only reached about 3 or 4 miles, which I think is probably, just from accounts that I've read, that maybe about halfway across the sea. So they hadn't made it very far when Jesus shows up. Of course, they were a little nervous seeing this person walking across the water, but when he spoke to them, they recognized his voice. And then what does it say? It says they were willing to take him into the boat, which I feel like is just a really beautiful image of what happens when we see Jesus. The question is, are we going to say yes and allow him into our boat or into our hearts? And then the result is the thing that really spoke to me, and I love this. They immediately reached their destination. They reached the shore where they were heading. And so it was almost like they were teleported or almost like Star Trek, beam me up, Scotty. But I just love this image that reminds me of Unbound, that we struggle and we toil on our own, and then God shows up. We allow him into our hearts and into our circumstances that are so difficult. And what happens is that he takes us to the other side. And that just reminds me of freedom that I've personally received with the Unbound model. So I hope that this is just a quick encouragement for you as you head into your weekend, that you might reflect on and ask yourself, how can I let Jesus into my boat today?